Hello and welcome. So today's video is going to be a little bit of royal folklore from Wales that is also folklore from the United States of America. Now, did a Welsh prince sail to America? So Madoc ap Owain Gwynedd was a Welsh prince. He was the son of Owain Gwynedd, who ruled the kingdom of Gwynedd from 1137 to 1170. So it is said that Madoc sailed to America to escape some family issues that were going on. He'd obviously travelled with some other people, and when he got to America, he sort of left a few of them there, came back to Wales, got some more people, went over there to set up a colony, and was never heard from again. So in America, it is said that Madoc and the people he sailed over with married into the local Native Americans, and that their descendants are responsible for the construction of some landmarks in the Midwest. But did Madoc actually exist? And if he did he actually sail to America? Now, firstly, we don't actually know whether Madoc actually existed or not. It is said that he was a son of Owain Gwynedd, but if he had been a legitimate son, then of course it would have been in some record somewhere, where it's not. So it is said that he was probably the illegitimate son of Owain Gwynedd. Now, if he did existed, what sources do we actually have for his existence? So the earliest reference we have to Madoc is from the Welsh poet Myrddin ap Rhys. Now, he lived in the 15th century, so a little while after Madoc is said to have made his journey, which would have been in the 12th century. So he wrote a poem that mentions Madoc, who was a descendant of Owain Gwynedd, who went on a sea voyage. Now, the Elizabethans, they really latched onto this story of Madoc sailing to the Americas. And both English and Welsh writers used his story to boost the English claims to the New World over those of Spain. Now, the very first account we have of the English using Madoc's sea voyage to make a claim over the New World was by Humphrey Llwynedd in 1559. The story was then again used by John Dee and George Peckham, who used it as evidence for England's claim to the New World. Dee actually also said that Brutus of Troy and King Arthur had also sailed to America and claimed land over there, and that this also meant that Queen Elizabeth I had a massive claim over American lands. So if Madoc did land in America and his people did marry with the local population, who were these Welsh Indians? So legend says that they are actually the Mandan people, a Native American tribe who lived in what is now North Dakota. The Mandan people were said to be different from their neighbours because they had a different appearance, culture and language. In 1608, a member of the English seaman Captain Christopher Newport's crew, called Peter Wayne, wrote a letter saying that when they visited the Monacan people in Virginia, some of the men on the exploration party believed that the Monacans were speaking a language that resembled Welsh, and that apparently the Monacan people spoke about some moon-eyed people who were bearded men with pale skin and blue eyes who could not go out in the daylight. Now, US President Thomas Jefferson has also spoke about that he has heard about Welsh-speaking Native American tribes. Now, another account of there being Welsh people in America comes from John Sevier, the first governor of Tennessee. He wrote to a friend about a conversation he had had with a Cherokee chief about some ancient fortifications along the Alabama River, and that he had been told by the chief that these fortifications had been built by a white people called the Welsh. Sevier also spoke of 6 skeletons that had been found wearing brass armour with the coat of arms of Wales on them. And there are also many other stories about the Welsh being in America, but are any of them true or are they just all a myth? There are many myths and folklore about what could have been Welsh people in America, like the yellow-headed giants who briefly settled in Tennessee, and also a battle between white and red Indians that resulted in the white Indians being slain. Now, most historians agree that Madoc's voyage to America did not happen, and that any Welsh DNA in the Native Americans happened after Columbus discovered the Americas in 1492. But why do we have this story? Now, it is telling that the first time we sort of hear around this story is in the 1500s, at the time when the New World is being discovered by the Europeans. Now, it could be that the story was made up or embellished for Queen Elizabeth to get her to believe that she did have this major claim over the land. Because, of course, if you didn't know, Queen Elizabeth was a little bit Welsh. Her great-great-great-grandfather was the Welshman Owain Tudor, who married Queen Catherine of Valois, who was the widow of King Henry V of England. So by using this story, which could have just already been in circulation, so by using the story about Welsh royalty going and discovering this new land, it would have made this proud queen want to go and just claim this land again. So what do you think? Was there really a Welsh prince called Madoc who sailed to America in the 1100s and settled there and had a life? Or was it all some propaganda type thing made up to try and convince Queen Elizabeth I to make claims for this land in the Americas? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.